Hello, good morning and welcome to the AM News with me, Mapitso Sibili. Now on our first story, for decades, residents of Ninten in the Mampong municipality have scrapped rocks for water. Now this is because the community has long been denied a decent source of water. The residents fear for the safety of their children as schools reopen. Love FM's Nana Yao Asei traveled to the community and filed this report.
House chores. They always pray for rains. When it fails, their opportunity to harvest rainwater from the roof is dashed. Along the road to the water source, the number of children heading there swells. The water oozes from a rock through a small canal, gathers at a small opening and scooped into containers. It's past midday and the twins we came to this place with have been in the queue since, waiting for their turn to be able to fetch from this source of water. It's the ordeal they have to go through on a daily basis before they are able to get some water for household activities and also some water for school when it's school day. Augustina Pokia describes the challenge they go through on a daily basis to get water before going to school.
On school days, we wake up at dawn to fetch water. The queue sometimes is very long that we end up running late for school.
As a daily routine, every child in the two government basic schools here at Ninten is expected to send a gallon of water to school. This is a challenge for pupils here, especially now that more water will be needed in schools due to the hand-washing protocols of the pandemic.
I wish we had water in school for hand washing and other chores. Unfortunately, we don't have.
We are taxed to fetch water for school every day, and we end up showing up late for school.
The COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated the critical importance of sanitation, hygiene, and adequate access to clean water for preventing and containing diseases. Here at Ninten, this surface water, known as Nintemu, complements water from the rocks, but the route to the source is hilly and daunting. The untreated water source also dry up.
At this time,
we are fortunate it is raining at this time of the year. All water sources would have dried up.
When this water dries, we go to the next village and fight us to the water since it's theirs.
Efforts to get water supply extended from Mampong to nearby Ninten, which is just 4 kilometers away, have proven futile. Head of Ninten royal family, Nana Asei, says attempts to get regular supply of water in the peak of the pandemic have failed.
When Anado announced that communities without water, the assemblies should supply them with free water. So they brought the polytanks, we raised it, and then we were expecting that they will bring us water. They started for about 2 days. Then the third day, they said that the petrol they were using was too much, so they wanted the people to buy at 20 pesos per jerrycan. So when they bring the water, the people will line up and buy, but they stopped buying.
Community leaders are expecting the local authority to urgently attend to the water needs of the children as schools resume.
We have 2 primary schools and then 2 JHS, but they are on separate grounds. So we need about 3 polytanks now, so that we can raise them, so that when they get the Berenka buckets, they can have access to water.
In Ghana, available statistics indicate less than 2 in 5 Ghanaians drink safe water. Also, 3 out of every 5 schools are without water supplies. This needs to improve in communities like Ninten for the country to meet the UN Sustainable Development Goal 6 of access to water and sanitation for all by 2030. From the Ashanti region for Joy News, Nana Yao Asei reporting.
Now, some students of the University of Ghana have also expressed dissatisfaction with the measures put in place by management to prevent the spread of COVID-19 following the reopening of the school on Monday. Many students could be seen without their face masks as they went about their businesses while disregarding the other preventive protocols such as social distancing. Meanwhile, the university is assuring it will do more to ensure strict adherence to the protocols by both students and staff. Kwekwe Santi was on campus on Tuesday and came through with this report.
The University of Ghana reopened for this year's academic year on Monday, 11 January 2021, but with concerns about the lack of adherence to government's COVID-19 preventive protocols. The first day on University of Ghana campus after reopening was an eyesore. Some students went about their manual registration without face coverings, with very little or no social distancing. Today, the story was a bit different. Most students were seen in their face coverings going through their residential and academic registration. Some students of the university are dissatisfied with the measures put in place by the school to limit the spread of the virus.
I wasn't really, happy with that particular initiative. Bringing students in a room where you realize that we have accommodation deficit. And I have always said that this accommodation deficit would only be solved only if you build hostels. And I think it's one of the most important things that the university management must take into consideration. You cannot accommodate 4 people in a room, whereby we are well aware that the COVID is still increasing. The cases are increasing. Today we have about 1,261 COVID cases, and you are keeping 4 students in a room.
The university seems not to have put measures in place to deal with issues of COVID-19. The basic one is the wearing of nose masks. So you realize that across the 4 facilities we are in right now, many people are not wearing their nose masks, but they are able to enter into the various halls. Primary among the COVID-19 protocols is the washing of hands before you enter any facility. You would expect that every other hall you get to, there are, Veronica buckets and so on for people to wash their hands. None of that is being done. You would expect that people's temperatures will be checked. None of that is being done. So I'm wondering whether the essence of the whole double track thing is to control COVID.
I would say that there's more room for improvement. I wouldn't say that we have put in place totally watertight mechanisms to prevent the spread of COVID. They are enforcing a no mask, no entry policy. There are taps here that people are supposed to, wash their hands with the water that is flowing from before they enter. I think for now, these are the mechanisms that have been put in place.
Meanwhile, Dean of Student Affairs at the University of Ghana, Professor Alufa Bobkin, says the university has put in place adequate measures to ensure adherence to COVID-19 preventive protocols and also to ensure that what happened on the first day of reopening does not happen again.
It was a bit, I wouldn't say surprised, because the numbers that came yesterday was just too huge. And because it was the first mover advantage, it was difficult trying to tell them that you had selected a bed online, you were not going to lose it. So take your time, be in the line. Some also came with their parents and all of that. So that was a challenge. We observed that ourselves, and we apologize for what happened. Word had gone out to all the halls. In fact, yesterday on the hall masters and senior tutors platform, we discussed this. That look, what we observed yesterday, from our point of view, wasn't even the best for us and for our own safety and our staff and all of that. So, and I am happy to some extent today, because I'd gone around again this morning, and I'm happy to some extent to what I'm observing, that at least we are learning from the errors of yesterday. And we are not at the peak of it, more or less, in terms of observing all the protocols, because I still see students walking around without the nose mask and all of that. But we have incorporated all of this in the orientation for all freshmen.
Professor Bobkin also defended the decision to fully populate the halls of residence on campus.
We did so also in line with health advice, that in the annexes where it's a bit spacious and airy, it's okay to put 4 in a room, but in the main halls it's 3 in a room. 2 outer, 1 inner. This is also based on advice from the University of Ghana Emergency Response Team, which advises the university holistically on this pandemic. So we are just working in line with advice from health experts.
Although the university will undertake a large part of its academic modules online, there are still concerns that with halls of residence and hostels populated fully, the risk of the spread of the virus may be high.
Meanwhile, former Deputy Minister for Education Dr Yao Asei is assuring parents that their wards will be safe when they return to school. He says the staggered reopening last year afforded the authorities the opportunity to learn valuable lessons will ensure the mistakes made initially will not recur.
GS is doing a fantastic. Professor Kwamankwa is working under the leadership of the senior minister, and they are plotting all the things that needs to be done, all the supply that needs to be provided. Our COVID-19 education has trained bedfellows. We have to coexist, but we coexist with COVID-19 with care. So as I think what has been good for us is the fact that we had some trial openings. Second year went to school, final year went to school. So we now have a body of practice, various things that have been learned over that period of time, which would then be implemented now. So COVID-19, yes, serious learning loss, and now we have to make sure we can eliminate and catch up and compete with the rest of the world. So I think the president has done a fantastic job allowing schools to open with fewer students. Parents should not be worried. I mean, the first time, it was tough, the Accra Girls situation. And then the second year students went and everything went smoothly. So I think we have the track record.
The Ghana Education Service is encouraging all girls who became pregnant or gave birth during the COVID-19 induced closure of schools not to shy away from returning to school. Speaking at the national launch of the Back to School and Re-Entry campaign organized by the Ghana Education Service, Mastercard Foundation and UNICEF, Deputy Director of GES Anthony Boateng stated some children who also engaged themselves in economic activities such as illegal mining during the break would have to be encouraged to return to school. Maxwell Agruba reports.
The UNICEF Country Director, the PRO of the Ghana Education Service, Cassandra Chum, and others embarked on a house-to-house campaign to get children at the basic school level back to school after a long break. This is part of the Back to School and Re-Entry campaign program. Deputy Director of the Ghana Education Service, Anthony Boateng, says authorities are particularly worried about girls who became pregnant or gave birth during the period.
Some girls unfortunately have become pregnant when schools were closed, and some of them have been given out into early marriages. To motivate such parents, guardians, students and pupils, and indeed the general public to support efforts at ensuring the return of all students and pupils to school, management of Ghana Education Service, with support from some partners, initiated the Back to School campaign. The purpose is to sensitize Ghanaians, especially parents and community members, on the need for all children to return to school when school reopens. This means, therefore, that every Ghanaian child is being welcomed back to school, even including our girls, who for one unfortunate reason or the other got pregnant or gave birth in the course of the school closures. The GES still insists on sexual abstinence among all school children. However, under the current circumstance, we do not want any child to drop out of school simply because of COVID-19. That is why we are encouraging girls who are pregnant or those who have delivered to return to school.
The GES Deputy Director says to ensure there is no overcrowding in especially public basic schools, district directors of education have been tasked to put measures in place to ensure social distancing.
We have done our analysis, we have the figures, and we are saying that we'll be able to manage the situation. there will be some few schools where there will be overcrowding. And because there will be few selected and isolated, we are mandating our district directors who will be in charge of these specific schools to take specific decisions to ensure that the social distancing and the children can still learn in safety and in health.
UNICEF country representative Anne-Claire Duffy has been admonishing parents to ensure their children return to school.
Yes, I mean, globally the COVID-19 pandemic has had a terrible impact on children. We have 1.6 billion children that have been affected because they missed out on learning. And in Ghana, we have 8 million children who have also suffered from that situation. But also you have some vulnerable groups. And indeed, I mentioned adolescent girls because we are very concerned about the increasing number of girls who have become pregnant as teenagers. And some of them also got married before the age of 18. Now, Ghana has policies and strategies protecting girls from teenage pregnancy and to make sure that even if a girl has delivered a baby, that she can go back to school and she gets the support from the family and the community. Because we don't want girls to give up on their dreams and on the future that they deserve. We also are calling on boys and young men to protect those girls because it's also their responsibility. And the worst I've seen too many times is when a girl gets pregnant and the boy or the young man disappears. That's not fair.
That's it for the AM News. My name is Mapito Sibidi.
Oh, hello there. Thank you for staying with us, Mapito Sibidi, with the AM News. Time for us to do the newspapers. I've got 2 Josephs. One was sold. Okay, no, not quite. 2 of them. Akable is in studio, and then Opoku Gakpo will join us via Zoom in a bit. Okay, hello.
Hi.
Were you sold?
No. I'm thinking, I'm trying to recall the
You're trying to be smart because you're trying to figure out if you are sold, then you come and redeem us, something like that. So do you want to be that person?
I'm in Pharaoh's house now. So, and I'm done with the prison too. So I'm now Prime Minister.
What do you mean in Pharaoh's house? This is no Pharaoh's house. So what's Pharaoh's wife? Don't be that. Just if you're on, good morning.
Bobby, good morning. I hope you had a good night.
In what?
In my case, I'm the father of Jesus. You've just given birth to Jesus Christ. So he's just a few weeks old, and so I'm changing diapers and so I've been busy.
You've been busy, huh? Well, thank God for not sending Mary away, even though she cheated on you. Otherwise, there won't be.
You know me, I'm a kind guy, so I don't have a problem with it.
Seriously, guys, think about it. If you were Joseph in 2021 and your fiancée that you're going to get married to had come back and, or you had discovered that she was pregnant, would you believe in some miracle, some angel somewhere?
Well, it's funny with all the biblical narrative that we have. I mean, trust me, in 2020 it will still be very difficult to accept. And then she'll be telling you that I had a dream and I saw some angel somewhere. Oh, goodness. No. You're not accepting that at all.
Oh, original Joseph, Mary's husband.
I hope Akable is not casting doubt on the biblical account of.
I'm speaking to the question. I'm speaking to the question I was asked.
Okay. One thing I am certain of is that even if I didn't believe the story, I would have acted the same way that Joseph acted.
Hey!
Oh, trust me, believe me.
Really?
Yes. June bonds are like that. We are that kind of.
Oh, as for me and Akable, dear, we accept that we've been saved by grace. It's the grace of God. We're not good like you. So thank God for people like you, Joseph Opoku Gakpo. Okay, guys, let's do the newspapers. I have the Daily Graphic, Republic Press. Opoku Gakpo, what papers would you be looking at?
I have the Daily Dispatch, I have the Finder as well, and then a couple of others.
Okay.
Yes, so I have both of them.
All right, let me start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. On the front page, sale of educational materials bounces back after 9 months of school closure. Stakeholders support GSA on enforcement. NPP NDC battle ready. Battle is in court. They litigate over 16 parliamentary seats. We'll be going over some of the seats that they are contesting in the center spread. GES launches back to school campaign. Africa ready to implement after, according to the Secretary General. Former President Rawlings burial January 27. So the late former President Jerry John Rawlings will be laid to rest at the new military cemetery at La in Dade-Kotopon municipality in the Greater Accra region on January 27 this year. State funeral and pre-burial service will be held at the former president at the of a public health reference laboratory in the region to avert the huge number of deaths that occur whenever there is an outbreak of cerebral spinal meningitis. And Kumasi records 4 fire incidents within 72 hours. That's unthinkable. The capital of the Ashanti region has within 72 hours recorded 4 fire incidents that have destroyed property worth millions of cedis. That is one of our big conversations on the AM show, as the National Fire Service in Kumasi, they will be joining the conversation a bit later on. So that's it for the Daily Graphic. Who goes next?
Let me do the front page of the Daily Guide before Joseph comes in. The front page says, Jubilee freezes new contracts. That's a photograph of Akosua Frema Osei Opari, the Chief of Staff. MMDCs remain at post, and governing boards dissolved. And Famina MP decides majority, also on the front page. And Rawlings burial, 27th January, is also on the front page of the Daily Guide. The back page has the story about Yao Preku taking over Olympics. And the Salah shows village love also on the back page. And West Ham appoints porn star to their board.
Okay. Porn star?
Yeah, P-O-R-N. Oh, I'm not seeing well. That's what is written there. Yeah. Let me read a paragraph. They say West Ham have appointed...
Of course you will.
Ivole, a director of... Okay, so it goes on and on. But that is the story on the back page of the Daily Guide. I'll quickly do the Ghanaian Observer, and then we go to Joseph. The Ghanaian Observer on the front page says Chief of Staff deserves second term in office is from Abu Jinapo, a former Deputy Chief of Staff. I'm hopeful of MPP NDC cooperation, Akufo-Addo says so. And COVID-19 fight, more private schools in Central Region benefit from reopening disinfection. And Statesman editor gets applause for philanthropic works. And top lawyer schools, NDC's Haruna Idrisu over caretaker ministers saga. Also on the front page of the Ghanaian Observer, Joseph.
Opoku Gakpo, go ahead.
And so I have the Daily Dispatch, and then I have the Finder. Let's begin with the Daily Dispatch. The Daily Dispatch is very heavy on issues having to do with the upcoming election petition. There is a reference to something that they did back in 2012, 2013, and the headline goes as follows: 2012 election petition at Supreme Court, a research on its impact on Ghanaians. So the Daily Dispatch is bringing us that specifically. Well, the Finder as well has a front page that's heavy on a number of issues, including COVID-19. For example, no wearing of masks. It says Ghanaians give weird reasons for disregarding COVID-19 protocols. You know, there is that very interesting story as well from Joy News. Judith Aochitando did that story that aired this morning about, you know, a lot of the folks in the market saying that they've not seen people who've been infected by the virus before, which is their reasons for ignoring the COVID-19 protocols. I'll get into this story on the page 5 of the Finder in a while, but other stories on the front page, Benche Enchil lecture and Ankuma ranked best law firm in Ghana, and it comes with a picture of lawyer Ankuma, who is one of the very key legal practitioners in the country. There's another story on the front page of the Finder. Transition Act makes acting ministers legal That's according to Kojo Ponkroma, the former information minister. You know, he is responding to claims by the leader of the NDC caucus in Parliament, Haruna Idrisu, that there is nothing like acting minister. He's responding to that and insisting that there is nothing wrong with that. And then NDC seeks Supreme Court review of Amewu judgment. I'll read a bit of details on that for you in a while, but then there are other stories on the front page. 2 newborn sickle cell screening centers open at the Rage and 37 military hospitals. And there's the other story about Frima Oseyo Parry, the chief of staff. And the story says diligent chief of staff deserves to be retained. That's according to Abu Jinapo, who is a member of parliament now. But let me bring you details of the story about the NDC seeking a review of the Supreme Court's decision. And there is actually details of that as contained in the Finder newspaper. Professor Margaret Kweku, who is the NDC parliamentary candidate for Hohoi, said that she and 4 others have today filed a case at the Supreme Court seeking a review of an application that they had taken to the court on the 5th of January to quash the orders of the High Court in Ho, which made the 23rd December 2020 ruling, which, you know, by the Ho High Court seeking to restrain Peter Amewu from holding himself out as MP and null and void directive. So that review is expected to happen. And according to the very first ground, as far as the review that they filed is concerned, they're saying that the Supreme Court fundamentally erred when it referred to the right to vote as provisions failing within the directive of state principles under the Constitution. So that is there. Joseph Akable, we wait to see what exactly the Supreme Court will do. But usually the argument is made that reviews don't make so much of a difference because a lot of the judges who sit on the case are individuals who already sat on the case as had been previously adjudicated, right, Joe?
Yes, and so in this instance, you had 5 judges who ruled 5-0. And so you have 2 judges who joined them for the review. And the point needs to be made that, I mean, the window is a very small window. You need to show that there was some error that the court ought not to have made. And so it's not something that easily goes through that way. And it will mean again that you have to convince the 2 new judges and get some of the other 5 to change the earlier position. What I find interesting is that just 2 days ago, they also filed at the whole High Court an election petition, which is the point that the Supreme Court had made in this decision that they are seeking a review, that the appropriate thing if they wanted to challenge Mr. Amewu's election was to have filed an election petition. And so I find it quite interesting that they've taken that advice and filed an election petition, and now going a step further to again seeking to review the Supreme Court's decision that gave that particular directive. And so it's quite interesting. I mean, clearly they are using all alternatives. Let's see how this will go.
There's also the Takwa and Swayam challenge there. It looks like for a while we'll see a lot of, cases in court on the parliamentary, even as we concentrate on the main one, the presidential.
Yesterday I counted about 7 of them.
Yeah. So, okay. So there's Hohoi, there's Takwa and Swayam.
There is Buim. There is Techiman South. There is Pusiga.
There's
Savelugu, yes,
that's
Savelugu as well, and a couple of others. I mean,
oh wow, that's a lot.
The problem really, I've been going through the rules, and I don't seem to find a timeline, as is the case for the Supreme Court, and so that is very challenging, because there is the case of Ayawaso West Wagon in the late 90s, where the person who won legitimately was not declared as the winner, and he challenged in court, and by the time he finished with the case, the person who was illegitimate had finished 7 the entire term, and so the decision of the court was of no effect, and that's the problem I find in this one. And so the Supreme Court would have decided, and a lot of these petitions will remain pending.
So I tried to look at the manual, the latest manual for the 2020 elections, and I didn't quite see that, and I think that is still something that must be worked on. So hopefully in the next manual that will be addressed. Joseph, you wanted to say something?
There is Kintampo North as well, which is a very interesting case because the NPP candidate is not challenging the outcome of the elections. All he's saying is that the NDC candidate who won back in, I think, 2013 or so, had been found guilty of engaging in corrupt activities per the work of a committee that was established to look into the ghost on the payroll of the National Service Scheme. You remember that story that Joy News broke in, I think, 2013. Eventually, the said gentleman, according to the petition, was found to have misappropriated allegedly to the tune of 95,000 Ghana cedis. And so he says until that outcome of the committee's report is set aside, the gentleman cannot hold himself out, cannot even contest to be an MP for the next 10 years. And it's on those grounds that he's asking that the court declares him invalidly elected and declare he the NPP candidate rather the MP for the area.
Okay,
it's an interesting case that we need to see how they are.
Very interesting. So that's the 8th one. I guess the 9th one will be the Asei North issue. That's the Asei North issue.
Which also relates to eligibility issues.
Yeah.
And well, there's one story in the paper that says that a criminal complaint has been, a petition has been sent to the police CID asking that it investigates him for possible perjury among other crimes as well. And yesterday on the show, on AM show, Benjamin spoke to a lawyer who was making a point that these petitions show that the political parties, the Electoral Commission, and state agencies like the NIB, the National Investigations Bureau, Intelligence Bureau, they didn't seem to have done a very good job in the period preceding the elections, because all these are matters that ideally in the best of things, there should be a formal report on each person who files to contest that clears you of all the bottlenecks. And so at this material moment, when someone was actually going to file those documents, all you have to do is to produce that particular document. There should be a file that shows that one, Mama also is more than 18 years of age or is more than 24 hours is required, is of sound mind, which we don't actually even check for. And whether the person does not have allegiance anywhere.
Don't get personal,
but I'm sure you agree with the substantive issue.
Oh, no, of course I do. Yes, I do, absolutely.
There should be a complete report that says you've not committed any crime, all of that. Like, it should be available. It's not the case that someone just declares, and now you now have to have political parties members who are unhappy that they have lost an election, now fishing for information to check and bringing it out. It's the work of the EC and the state agencies to come up with such a report. Should be available even before the person is allowed to contest.
Yeah. Listen, I've said this. It's so easy to say people should go to court, but I've said that even when they go to court and they don't win, essentially because you want to go to court and win, I still feel that there will be some words said to the Electoral Commission which will not be nice. You know, they will tell you what you should have done and how you didn't do your work, you didn't do your administrative work. And I say that in itself will be an indictment. So for you to be talked down, I mean, you've been to courts. You know how sometimes the judges are so upset, not because necessarily somebody broke some law, but how you didn't do your job. Like, you didn't do the work that you were supposed to do diligently the way you should have done. And it's so obvious on the face that you didn't do your work. And the way they talk to you. And I hope that even as observers, those of us who will be reporting, we can highlight on those things so that it's not just the ruling, like, oh, what did they say? The final, exactly, not just the conclusion, but the real things that they say, even about the Electoral Commission, because that will go a long way. 2024, I mean, it's not just, oh, if you're unhappy, go to courts. But there are some fundamental issues that they should have done in the first place. Hopefully these all comes out. But there's the NCCE in the Daily Graphic condemning the drama in Parliament. There's 5 NGOs calling for live telecast of election petition proceedings. Akable, you've been going to court. It's their call to make, even though it's in black and white. But they have to finally make the decision if this is going to go live or not. But we haven't gotten there yet. Yeah. Joseph, we're a long way away from there. Tomorrow there's the decision on the correction of mistakes, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what is the business for the day. But then afterwards, the MPP's, Nana Akufo-Addo's legal team, the president's legal team, will have to also notify the court of the initial objection that they have. Yeah. Very, very interesting objection, which could end up getting a matter thrown out completely different, depending if the court agrees with that view. And so that's also an important one that would have to be dealt with. They are asking the court to fix a date for legal arguments on it. And it's interesting, the crux of it, they are relying on a case that Tony Letha argued some years back. It's Metununu versus the Electoral Commission.
Yeah.
It had to do with a declaration that Afarijan had done, the instruments announcing the president-elect, John Ajikun Kufuor at the time, that they said they didn't attach the results of the elections to. So at the Ghana Publishing Company. And the Supreme Court back then said that, what is required in terms of the gazetting is just to say that Mama Viosa Abuaji is the president-elect and the signature, that's all. Because the results are declared across the country, they need not attach it to the Gazette. And so the NPP's argument is that the declaration that the EC does on TV is actually not a declaration. And so they are not challenging the validity of the election as the Constitution says you should challenge, i.e. what takes place in all the polling stations across the country. They are making reference to the things the EC chairperson said, which the NPP says is not known to law. The NDC disagrees, and Tony Letha, like I said, argued that Metununu case, and this is an initial objection that they are asking the court to fix a date to listen to. So it will be very interesting to
Very interesting. Also similar to the initial objection that the Electoral Commission also raises.
Yes.
Yeah.
At the same point.
Okay, but there's no dates for that.
They have
the minds are the same on this level, but there's no dates for that.
No, so they are now going to bring it to the attention of the court and ask that a date should be fixed for the legal arguments to be.
I was reading about composition of the court, but I was thinking, has there been something like that?
We've not seen that yet. On day one, which is tomorrow, we'll know who the panel members are. And we know that in 2012, 2013, the Chief Justice then didn't join. I'm not too sure that CJ Ninyabua will stay away from this one this time around because of what we've seen happen over the years. He works very hard and he is mostly on the very top of the places, but we don't know whether he would want to be a part of it.
Okay. My last newspaper, Republic Press, and I'll just do what's the banner headline, really. You are a sick mind. A sick mind is in quotes, says Che Mensah hits General Mosquito. So it says Member of Parliament for Swame, leader of NPP caucus in 8th Parliament, Osei Che Mensah Bonsu, is angry over attempt to link him to the ballot paper snatching episode in Parliament, an incident that sends many tongue wagging. And he said only, quotes, unquote, sick minds will blame him for the incident that played out in Parliament during the voting of a speaker for Ghana's Parliament. If you continue on page 3, he recalls, I know what he was saying when someone is
who is saying he's a master of
I know what they mean. That's General Mosquito. General Mosquito. Yeah, and so that's the hard response there. I'm sure you've seen some of the videos. But Opokugapo, there was a meeting yesterday, high-powered, as we usually would say. Give us the backstory to this. What happened? This was closed door, but you picked up a few things.
We did. Essentially, a number of items on the agenda, which of the two sides would constitute majority and minority, who would sit at the right-hand side of the speaker. It became an issue on the 9th of 6th January, you recall. Those two issues, and as well, which of the two sides would chair the various committees. There appears to be a deadlock because the NPP is insisting them plus Femina should constitute majority, which would mean they should chair the various major committees and should sit on the right-hand side of the speaker. The NDC is insisting there is no majority, and so anyone can sit on the right side of the speaker. No one should be called majority side in the House, and the committee should be split in terms of chairmanship equally between the NDC and the NPP. The meeting couldn't resolve the issues. We gather there's another one that's been scheduled for today. Alban Bagbin chaired the meeting himself. The famous Cyril Insia, the Clerk of Parliament, was in that meeting as well as leaders on both sides. So we're waiting to see how things will unfold. One of the things we know the meeting agreed on was that Andra Marquez-Yama, the second Deputy Speaker and also MP for Femina, is expected to communicate officially to the Speaker which of the two sides he intends to sit. It's interesting that we managed to get to the premises, although this was a closed-door meeting, but essentially he refused to comment on the outcome of the meeting.
It had nothing to do with a ballot paper.
His team eventually walked away.
I see the majority chief whip there on the NPP.
The NPP chief whip.
Exactly.
Oh, the NPP, yes. Thank you.
Yes,
well, interestingly, he says
as well.
Okay, no, but also I was referring to the deputy up in your marking because
the deputy leader
of the MPP caucus. Thank you. It is. He wants to set the record straight. He wants the speaker to set the record straight on this whole majority-minority thing, doesn't he?
Precisely, and repeatedly, that's what they've all been asking for, that particularly on the NPP side, that those records should be set straight as quickly as possible. And Frank Anodumpe, who you saw in your shot, has indicated in other interviews that by hook or crook, the NPP will cling on to the majority, all other things being equal. So it looks like, Parliament is actually resuming sitting on Friday.
Yes, sir.
Today is Wednesday. All these issues have to be resolved between today and tomorrow, so that then when they come to the floor on Friday, then they get business going. One of the things we're expecting on Friday as well will be the establishment of a committee of selection chaired by the Speaker himself, which will then come up with the details of which MP should serve on which committees, including the appointment committee. And unless these details in terms of who should chair the committees are agreed on, very little can be done on Friday, because then we may see both sides trying to occupy the right-hand side of the Speaker once those issues
to board down to who gets into the chamber.
Joseph, listen, do they carry their chairs when they leave the chamber?
No, you don't. You don't. The chairs, the chairs sit in there. But you recall what happened on the 9th of 6th January? There were name tags on the various seats, with the name tags of the NPP on the right side of the Speaker. And then we saw some of the NDC MPs take off the name tag.
Very important. Who plays the tags there? Who plays the tags there?
The office of the clerk.
Okay.
The office of the clerk. So the clerk's office dispatches its staff to go put the necessary tags in the various. So then you can conclude
Friday will be interesting.
At the level of the office of the clerk, that decision had been taken that the MPP should be on the right-hand side. And that was Cyril Linsia in your shot there. He was very much active in the meeting.
Very famous clerk. Okay. All right. Now the pressure has gone down a bit. Oh, but just on the issue of the majority-minority, at the One Ghana lecture series, the speaker, Kofi Abochi, had something to say on this specific thing. The reason these two parties continue to battle this little issue.
Yes, he says the NDC side, they want to take control of parliament, to use their powers to frustrate government, while government, on the other hand, wants to take control of parliament in order to push through its agenda without any opposition. He said that's the only thing that could explain the battle for...
I guess what is missing when he was talking, I was listening, is the people. The people were lost. It's just the interest of both sides. By the way, thank you guys for joining me for the review, for holding it down. But do you miss the National Science and Maths quiz?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Gapo, do you?
I've run out of data, so I think I should...
No, you haven't. I have asked permission from the clerk. Mr. Cyril, what's his other name?
Intia.
Oh, the gods are not the gods with the small g's. They are working against me, but the big G God is with me. So listen, I have permission from the clerk of parliament, the senior man. So Opoku Gapo, stay there. This is actually from the junior graphic. I'm picking it from the daily graphic, but it's talking about the junior graphic. So these are for tiny little boys and girls.
It's in the daily graphic. It's not for tiny little girls.
It's on mathematics. Listen carefully. A woman bought 210 oranges for 750 Ghana cedis. She sold all of them at 3 for 15 Ghana pesos. Find A, total selling prices of the oranges, and 2, percentage profits. Clock.
It's very easy. I need a pen and a jotter. I'll just...
Oh, you have the calculator. I see you with the 210.
I don't have a pen and a jotter. My jotter is not here.
Cost price for the oranges, 210. Selling price, you know what to do to get it.
The question again.
A woman bought 210 oranges for 750 Ghana cedis. She sold all of them at 3 for 15 Ghana pesos. Opoku Gakpo, you're good?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, continue. You are not done, right?
Oh, I'm done. It's just that. The question is total selling price of the oranges. Find that. Find the total selling price of the oranges. Cost
It's
price.
1 cedi 50 pesos.
Is what?
1 cedi 50 pesos.
1 cedi 50 pesos. How did you arrive at that?
Okay. No, it's a very simple mathematics. So then, if each of them.
No. Patrick, take it off. Patrick, take it off. Okay, it's okay. You said what?
If each of them was actually, if each of them was actually 15 pesos, and there were 3 of them, then that gives you 450 cedis as the total selling price as far as all of your oranges are concerned. You divide it by the lowest denominator and multiply it by the highest numerator, and then it gives you 1 cedi 50.
It gives me what?
1 cedi 50 pesos.
Okay. Final answer? 1 cedi 50 pesos.
Selling price.
Yes, selling price.
10 cedi 50 pesos.
How do you arrive at that?
Oh, I have to show working. I need a pen and jot. I see that right or wrong. Just tell me. I mean,
let's put the correct. Let's put the work on the page. And I'm not going to say if you're right or wrong, because I'll have you guys tomorrow.
So the selling price is 10.50. Right? It's 10.50. Yeah.
Exactly what I said. Exactly what I said.
Okay,
exactly
guys, listen.
10 cedi 50 pesos.
Opoku Gakpo, have a beautiful day today and give us all the backstories from today's meeting, okay? We'll see you tomorrow here on the AM show.
Cheers. Cheers.
Akablay, thanks a lot. Enjoy the day. All right.
Let's come to home comforts, but not very comforting news. And Ghana will not be represented at this year's Africa Under-17 Cup of Nations. Why? Well, this follows the Black Stars group stage exit at the WAFU Zone B Championship that's currently ongoing. The Stars were eliminated on Tuesday after losing 3-1 to the Ivory Coast in their final group game.
He's sending across now. He dummies his marker. Sent it back to Abdurrahmani, who controls the ball beautifully. It's a goal for Abdurrahmani Konate. Ivory Coast coming in strongly. Could it be the second goal? It's a goal! Ivory Coast with the second goal. Ivory Coast with the second goal. Miesian Charles Linda with the second goal. Ghana takes over, the captain of the side. Leaves it to John, who sends a long one in, looking for Abdul Fattah. Fattah beats his marker. Abdul Fattah sends one back, and it's a goal. The Black Starlet of Ghana pulls one back. Leaves this ball to Abdurrahmani. Beautiful tackle. It's a penalty. The referee has taken a penalty for Ivory Coast. Vicentia Amidome has taken a penalty for Ivory Coast in a bizarre manner. Abdurrahmani, and it's a goal.
Now to club football in Ghana, and the chairman of the Ghana League Clubs Association, Kujo Fianu, has urged Asante Kotoko not to withdraw from the CAF Confederation Cup. The porcupine warriors accused the Continental Football governing body of a lack of respect and have threatened to not participate in the competition where they have been drawn against Atan Setif. However, Fianu, a former CEO at Ashgold, wants Kotoko to honour the games.
We are in crisis, and instead of resolving the crisis, we are rather compounding. Now, if we don't take time, both the Confederation Cup and the Champions League, home teams will use this COVID, will manipulate the system and win matches off the pitch. I don't think it is right. Being a Ghanaian, yes, I'm hurt by the way Kotoko is treated, and these continental competitions take a lot of resources from participants. So after investing all this money and you're given a raw deal, I will plead that they give a second thought to the withdrawal from, because we are losing out. We used to have 4 reps, now there are 2. So if we start pulling out from competitions, it could hurt our progression to get back the 4. So I will plead with them to reconsider that decision. And I think the best thing to do was what they did by going to CAS. But the issue is how timeously can CAS rule on this matter for Kotoko to get justice. And the draw for the Confederation. Yes, I mean that another tough one. We should play. We should all help them as Ghanaians to who knows. They say when one door is closed, another one is opened. Who knows? This could be an opportunity for them to win the Confederation Cup that eluded them 2002 or thereabout. So I will plead. I know it is hard to take, but as I said, the hand of God got England out of the World Cup. But life must go on.
Two great Olympics, that team who have been doing quite well this season, but they were hit with the news yesterday, and as we broke their story, they have named Yao Asei as their interim head coach due to the absence of Anna Walker. Walker, who has steered the Wonder Club to some good and famous victories this season, is suffering from illness, and we understand he's at the Ridge Hospital. He's been excused from duty by the club's management.
Olympics appointed former Black Satellites head coach Yao Asei on the interim to steer the affairs of the clubs, as head coach Anna Walker is currently on sick leave. Walker, who has steered the Wonder Club to some famous results in the Premier League this season, is suffering from illness and has been excused from duty by club's management. The former Brecum Chelsea assistant coach was not in the dugout for the last 2 games against Ediana Stars and Ashanti Gold, which they lost their first back-to-back defeats of the season. And Asei, who led Ghana's under-20 team to participate in the 2019 All-Africa Games football competition, was confirmed on Tuesday and is expected to lead the team until Walker is available. The former Ghana international has been coaching since 2013. He has been an assistant coach at Accra House of Oak, King Faisal, and Nigerian side Ifeanyi Oba. Olympics have won 11 points after 8 games in the Ghana Premier League.
That's it for the sport this morning. Thank you for your time. We have more in the programs that are coming throughout the day on News Desk, on Midday Joy News today, and also on our main bulletin at 2, Sports Today. Thank you for your time.
Thanks to Gary Al Smith with AM Sports. It's a Wednesday, so we settle for AM Business. Now, business owners are expecting government to provide reliefs that will make this year better than last year, as they make some bold prospects for the new year. In this edition of AM Business, Charles Aite sums up the challenges and prospects for businesses in this year, 2021.
Ghana's business community has braced the new year as the key to surviving the constraints of the coronavirus pandemic. The year started with Africa commencing the Continental Free Trade Agreement. With a $3.5 trillion potential, the business community is eager to reap the benefits. Our engaged president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Dr. Joseph Oben.
It is very important if this will take effect, especially when it's starting now. We should know certain information, especially about the sensitive list as against the non-sensitive products as listed. The rules of origin is the main factor of the pact itself. And so for now, we should be in the know of the products that as traders who will be in a position to trade in. And that is what we haven't gotten. We know the custom to custom thing is very important, it's very essential. Otherwise, things will come in before they will say you have to be cleared first whether it qualifies within the rules of origin. So it is so very important. These things haven't been communicated to us.
Even as Ghana readies to take advantage of the agreement, the International Trade Commission is worried of some uncertain trade laws. Frank Ajakum is Executive Secretary of the GITC.
We can have a regional bloc called ECOWAS, where we set certain standards and certain rules, for instance, in terms of investment, in terms of export and stuff like that. But you'll be told, and Dr. Obin will be best to tell you, that yes, while it's easy to enter some countries with your goods, in some countries it's very, very difficult, even though we've all signed on and ratified these agreements that we've all agreed to abide by. So that it's for us as a people and as countries and governments to abide by the rules that we set for ourselves. I mean, there's no magic wand in saying that one person could come and whip you into place. Once we get committed to doing certain things, we should then see the actualization of it. This demands or certain countries want to export certain countries becomes a problem. But Ghana, you come here and we abide by the rules. It's because we are committed to such processes. And we understand that such processes are what Africa needs in its forward march. And so we can only appeal that all of us get in there. But sooner than later, in terms of the African continental free trade area, those who do not sign up to it will be the losers, because the 33 or so countries that have signed up have given the commitment that they want to go ahead. And so we're going to harmonize customs issues, we're going to harmonize trading issues, investment, and we're going to do that. But I'm saying that these things are not done in a day or even in a year. It will take some time. The important thing is for information to be made available expeditiously and timeously to the various players. I mean, Dr. Obin was talking about the specified list and which ones do they have to deal with. These things must be made available as soon as possible once they are ready. But I can understand that even in high offices, some of these things are being fine-tuned. So it will take time. And as a people, we should know that it's going to take time, even as we demand on our governments to see that we get the right things done. We should also know that it's going to take time. And I always give the EU as an example. So we should know that we have a long journey to go.
On January 7, Ghana inaugurated President Akufo-Addo for his second term. The 8th Parliament was also sworn in. Speaking of Parliament, Ghana's business community say they are taking with them the business-friendly bills passed in the 7th Parliament as they mount pressure for more in this new Parliament.
You need to be very competitive. If you are not competitive, others will take your...
Sir Chuma Kwabwa is the Chief Executive of the Association of Ghana Industries.
If you are not competitive, others will take your market. Even your local market will be taken away with imports from abroad. So you've got to be competitive. But being competitive means that you must have the factors of production in the most efficient manner. You must produce at a price that is very good. It means that your cost of production must be really low and competitive. If you are borrowing at a very high interest cost, if you are buying electricity at a very high cost, if you are paying labor at a very high cost, then you have a challenge in being competitive. So if you ask me what has been the reason for manufacturing lagging behind, it is because our environment for manufacturing has not been conducive enough.
I also engaged the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry on the expectations from the 8th Parliament. Mark Bedo-Abuaje is CEO of the Chamber.
We are encouraging them to work together, because anything apart from that will be detrimental to Ghana and also to the economy of Ghana. We are hopeful that in the years to come, a lot of the bills, business-related bills, will go there, and they should look at it in the interest of Ghana and not in any partisan interest, because anything that will affect the private sector will also largely affect the economy of Ghana and the people of Ghana. So we are looking forward to a situation where both the NDC and the MPP will work consensuously on issues that come to them. Of course, the budget for 2021 up to 2024 from the president will go to Parliament, and most of the things are issues that affect the private sector, in terms of how they are going to manage the economy, how they are going to build a very robust economy, stable exchange rates, lower inflation, the revenues and the expenditures, and also debt related to Ghana's economy. So they should look at it largely in the interest of Ghana, and I hope that if they do that, Ghana will be the winner. We need peace. We need an environment that will help the private sector to thrive. In fact, one of the main reasons why somebody will invest in the economy is to where they have peace and where they have a secured environment. The reason why we have had a lot of FDI, among others, is that people feel that we have a secured environment, we have a peaceful environment, so they feel comfortable investing in the country.
Business air travels are to see a massive boom in 2021. A list of major events to hit Ghana's aviation sector show, among other things, cheaper air flights. Aviation expert Sean Mendes believes that this will be good for businesses in 2021.
Biosecurity is the current buzzword, and I think it's already becoming pretty much a standard when you are traveling. You think of getting your air ticket, you think of getting your passport, your visa, and now you're thinking of getting your COVID test or your vaccination proof or whatever other biosecurity protocols are going to become required for international travel, and this will vary across different countries around the world. So I think that is a trend that is going to be here definitely for not just 2021 but beyond that. And it's not something that may seem as a huge change for people in Africa, where we've been used to traveling with yellow fever cards and things as such, but I think on a more global basis, this biosecurity documentation and the proof of biosecurity is going to become a integral part of the travel experience.
Interesting. Domestic and regional travel to see a boost?
Well, I think, we've already seen this. Domestic travel is a lot easier. Regional travel, if you're just going from Nigeria to Ghana, for example, is a lot simpler right now for people to travel closer to home within their home countries or neighboring countries than it is to be traveling long haul. If you're right now, a lot of the traditional tourist markets, such as Europe and North America, are still essentially closed to international visitors, while markets close to home, no matter which country you're in, most countries are open to domestic travel, and there's plenty of opportunities for people people in Ghana to explore the north, to explore Takoradi, to explore all sorts of things, and I think domestic and regional air transport will get a boost from that.
Are we going to be expecting some new entrants?
I think there's always going to be the potential for new entrants where a good opportunity exists. I know a lot of people are talking about entering the market. The business case definitely exists for people to do well in airlines in Ghana in the near future. It's how well people can execute on that.
Great. Let's now end on this very good note. Cheaper travel options. We know AFTA is here. Briefly, if you could explain to us what you mean by cheaper travel options for air travelers.
Well, I think the key to this is when airlines get back to their pre-pandemic schedules, or at least begin to grow back into that, there's going to be a lot of empty seats. The demand is not going to recover until the supply is put into the market. So the people who move first, those who are willing to travel as soon as borders begin to open and so forth, will have the ability to take advantage of some very good deals that undoubtedly are going to be out there. We've seen Emirates do this already with offering hotel stays and stuff for visitors to Dubai, and I think you'll see this with a lot of airlines, a lot of governments who will incentivize travel by reducing fares, by reducing taxes, and getting people back and moving again. So if you're ready to move, there's some very good deals coming to you probably in the middle of 2021.
Great. Even with a successful continental free trade agreement, a business-friendly environment by Akufo-Addo's administration or parliament, businesses in Ghana are exploring the best ways of making money this year. I engaged the CEO of the Chamber of Entrepreneurs, Sharif Ghali. The question to him: how do we invest and where in 2021?
Yes, we all need money. We should be looking forward for the tech businesses. The tech-enabled businesses, especially e-commerce, is on the rise. You can see the figures on everywhere. Now people are confident with ordering or buying things from line. They don't even walk to the shops so much as we used to see it. And then mobile apps. If you're an investor you do not necessarily need to be a tech person, but look for tech guys and invest in them. This year is one of the years mobile applications that solve basic needs will be on the rise. And then we also look at online educational system. Yes, because of COVID-19, people and educational system have seen the need for online learning platform.
Okay.
Identify schools, get IT guys, invest in them, let them develop very nice educational system, sell them to these schools. Definitely you will be able to get some of them, and it's going to actually be in the rise. And then digital marketing is one of the things, because now a lot of people are on the digital platform. Businesses are finding ways and means of getting their products to them. So if you are able to invest in digital marketing, is going to help. Cybersecurity, I'm still on the tech level. Cybersecurity is also one. You know, tech is very broad, but I'm giving the key areas that can really fetch money in 2021. Cybersecurity applications is also one, because of a lot of people are on the digital space, and cyber is one of the things. Cybercrime is on the rise. So yes, investors can invest their money in cybersecurity. One other area which is also still within the tech is fintech, financial technology, where you can lend monies to people. Imagine you have 10,000 Ghana cedis, you are lending to about 10 people, and at the end of 30 days, each one is paying 12%. You are going to make about 125% of the money you are lending to them. So you can imagine. So fintech is one of the things that will be on the rise, because people now prefer to be on their phone to do their financial transactions instead of going to the bank.
Executing dreams and aspirations in 2021 will demand some financial muscle. Dr. Richmond Frimpong is the CEO of the Financial Literacy for Africa. He shares some tips.
If you want to go into the laboratory of your money and begin to diagnose whether to begin with you are financially well or otherwise, to do that, we have something we call your net worth, and you have to take a glance at your assets or the things you have as far as your finances are concerned, and your liabilities, the things you owe as far as your finances are concerned. So if you can pick a sheet of paper on your phone, begin to navigate and put down the things you own, your bank account, your savings account, your investment account, your pensions account, put the final value at the bottom, and then begin to ask and inquire, are there some debts you have that you have to pay back? Are there some liabilities you have to pay back? When you get these two instances, strike them off and check if you have a deficit or a surplus. The outcome shows your financial health, and when you do, you are qualified to take the next step.
Ghana's business community is looking up to 2021 for some major business reforms. Having survived the shocks of COVID-19, the focus is on...
Once again, next week, Wednesday, AM Business is proudly brought to us every Wednesday here on the AM Show by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. Now, let's do AM Talk. One of my guests is in the studio. He served in this, was it the 6th Parliament? He's in this 8th Parliament. He served also in the Ministry of Information. Murtala Mohammed is Member of Parliament now for Tamale Central. I think you're one of the few MPs who's moved around. Good, you went to another constituency and then you've come back to another constituency. It's good to have you. Happy New Year.
Good to be here. Happy New Year.
Yeah. And then let me also introduce Stephen Amwa, Member of Parliament for Inshire. So he's just joined the 8th Parliament and he joins us via Zoom on this talk. He will join us pretty shortly. When he does, I'll bring him into the conversation. There are people who are making the arguments that honorable should be scrapped from. It shouldn't be a title that we should give to our members of parliament, because 7th, what you showed to us, horrible. What do you say to the criticisms that have come up? And maybe first of all, after sitting back and watching the videos again, what do you make of your behavior in parliament?
Well, let me say good morning to you and good morning to your cherished viewers, and of course, the good people of Tamale Central. This is the first time I have been here after the elections. I was on Joy Prime.
Okay, yes.
And permit me also to use the opportunity to thank the people of Tamale Central for the confidence with which they gave me the mandate to serve them yet 4 years. And inshallah, we're hopeful that we'll be able to deliver as expected. In the first place, I think that every human being, whatever you do, if it is not good, you know. I mean, maybe at the time you are engaged in that, you may not realize the effect of it. I think that all of us, the 275 members of parliament, those who participated in the impasse and those who didn't, we all sit back and then we realize that maybe perhaps we could have done it better.
Should I play some of the clips back to you?
Well, I have seen the clips several times. I've seen the clips several times. In as much as I am not in any attempt to justify the action of us, the majority, the NDC in Parliament, I think that it is...
You referred to
yes,
the NDC as majority.
Yes,
well, that will be cleared up by Friday.
Yes, we are. And it doesn't matter what decision, the Speaker takes. I mean, it is very clear. If we all have equal numbers and some claim we did. But I think that emotions were running very high. And because of that, people would have engaged in a lot of issues.
Okay, so let me ask you, where were you?
Oh, you've just seen me with Sika. I think that video has passed. Sika is a very...
What parts did you play in this?
I think that there wasn't any specific role played by anybody. Here I am.
Okay.
In the hat, with the nose mask.
Were you calming things? Were you... When I say what role did you play? At this
particular moment, when Esla fell, actually, and Sika...
Oh, is it that she fell, or another member just yanked the chair she was seated on? Is that not what happened?
It's amazing people are talking about what happened to Esla, yet nobody is talking about what she did to Collins Dowda.
Oh, I have been talking about it.
I mean, she was
I want us to...
She was virtually assaulting Collins Dowda.
So can we start from the beginning?
Yes, so what happened?
Because I was just saying what happened to her, just putting it in
but before
perspective.
That,
I was asking the role that you played.
Yes,
so you were explaining.
Before that, you said that some are saying that the title honorable should not... I mean, if you observe, I have never wanted to be addressed as honorable. Even when I was in the Sixth Parliament, I insisted that I wanted to be addressed as comrade. And the reason being simple. For me, for you to be an honorable member, you must be absolutely honorable. And the conduct of some of our colleagues are absolutely dishonorable. The extent to which there isn't any pride being associated with that title. My understanding is that you are only honorable when you are a member of Parliament and when you are on the floor, you are addressed as such. Because I remember I was called to make contribution on the floor. And when Mr. Speaker, Right Honorable Do Ajeho, called me Honorable Mutala MP for Nantong, and I said no. Mr. Speaker, I respectfully would want to be addressed as comrade. And I said, look, that is the title with which we address everybody. If on that day, we were informed by the clerk and the leadership of Parliament that we should all come to the chamber 11 o'clock. So we knew that we were going to the chamber 11 and business would commence at 12. But we got intelligence that that was not the communication given to the MPP. The intelligence we picked was that the MPP was informed to come at 10 o'clock. What was the reason? So we decided to go earlier than 10. By 8:30, we were in the chamber. In fact, when we went to the chamber, I entered first. I entered into the chamber first because the bus, we went with about 5 buses, we were at a particular place. So I got down first. I went into the chamber first. When I went in, I saw Honorable Nituwul and Honorable Ambrose Derry standing at where they are not supposed to be. That is the majority side.
So at what point was this a period leading to the dissolution of the 7th Parliament?
Yes, the period leading to the dissolution of the 7th Parliament. You know, once it is dissolved, then we are also sworn. In fact, it was already dissolved, I think so.
Okay.
It was the period leading to the swearing in election of the
constitution
Speaker,
of the 8th Parliament.
Exactly, of the 8th Parliament.
Okay.
So when I went, Honorable Nituwul and Honorable Ambrose there were those standing just in front of the leadership of the majority. So I went, we exchanged greetings, and then I went and took my seat. So my colleagues also joined. Now we're there until the MPP. By 9:30, we realized that the MPP also came. So the question is, why is it that we were told that we should come there at 11 o'clock? And it confirmed the intelligence we picked that they were given a different time. So we all seated. Eslosu entered and said no, she wanted to sit at where we were. Another newcomer, Honorable Ameu, I mean, it was so reckless.
Were there not name tags on the seats where the NDC decided to sit? Because we're told that there were name tags there.
Nobody had any right to put any name on anything. Mind you, Parliament works with 3 things: the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, the standing orders, and also conventions.
Would that be the first time?
Indicates that NDC has 137, MPP has 137.
So you chose
independent.
You chose to sit on the rights.
There is nowhere in the standing orders, from order 1 to the last order, that suggests that majority sit at a particular place in Parliament and minority sits at a particular
Okay, so I'm saying that you chose when you entered into the chamber.
We chose
to sit on the right.
That we are majority.
Okay,
I'll tell you.
I'll come back. I just wanted to introduce your colleague who's joining us via Zoom in on this conversation. So, Mr. Stephen Amoah, Member of Parliament for Inshaiso, just joining the 8th Parliament. A very good morning to you, former Chief Executive Officer of the Microfinance and Small Loans Centre. If you can hear me, good to have you on the show. Hello, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, good morning. Can you hear me all right? Can you hear me clearly, sir?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Thank
all right,
you.
It's just you were sworn in on the 7th of January. Do you miss being chief executive? That was a pretty cool place you were, to this parliament that showed us all this drama from the 6th to the 7th. Is this what you left Maslock for?
My regards to our listeners and viewers this very morning, and thank you for having me on your set and giving me this opportunity. It depends on one's utility when it comes to one's political aspiration and where he wants to end his politics and where he wants to go in politics. And definitely everyone has his own core objective or objectives when it comes to trying to pursue your personal ambition. I mean, in life, what you want to do for society, what you want to do for yourself, your family, and your country, and where you want to get to have the needed tenacity to contribute your quota to the transformation of our society. So it's not just about whether it's being Maslock CEO or being MP, but it's about my personal utility and my personal endeavor.
Okay.
So far as politics is concerned.
So that question came from a certain place. I came from the place of the embarrassments, and
we're actually driven to making sure that yes, we are committed to serving our countries in our respective capacities, and make sure that we want to not fight as in killing each other, but we want to put up a fight in context, in a way to show that, hey, we are serious. We in majority, as probably I can define, or whether somebody is in majority, what we mean is that it's not for our personal gains. We would have sat down quiet and probably allowed anything to happen. But I think both parties were really committed to making sure that, hey, they serve their people and also demonstrate to Ghanaians that we are doing this for you, even though the alternative or the approach used probably was not very antisocial, was
okay,
not right.
So
and in that context, I would like to say that we are very
just
sorry.
Before I
we
bring,
should also understand the fact that we're highly committed to serving our society.
Okay, before I bring Mr. Murtala Mohammed into the conversation now, what role did you play, Mr. Stephen Amoah?
But I think you should give me opportunity to talk on what he said. He spoke at length.
Yes. So I'm asking, what role did you play in the issue that unfolded to us 6th and 7th? What was your role, Mr. Amoah? That's a question to you.
I think when we went to the house, I am just a first timer in the house.
Yes.
We were, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, we were made to understand that the NDC had actually taken our seats. I had my colleague from the NDC, my brother Murtala, I extend my greetings to him, saying that there is no standing order or legal instrument that really defines where one sits or a political party sits. But he knows, even if that is accepted, I'm a legal practitioner, he knows that conventionally, that was where the MPP party or fraternity used to sit. And the time that we were going there, even the needed transition processes that were supposed to be conducted for the House to even know whether A or B will sit there. We have not even gotten there. So Honorable Collins Dauda, respectfully, and a male member of Parliament came in and assaulted her. I mean, go and check definition of assault. Even coercive questioning is assault. Here is the case that there was push and pull that actually toppled the woman. And I think if that had even done to NDC female parliamentarian, someone like me would have really condemned it badly because she was a woman. In every country, priority is given to women and children. And I'm surprised that my colleague member could not see that as extremely crazy and aberrant and antisocial behavior
so Ms. Amwa,
that all of us have to condemn.
Ms. Amwa, I have to come in because I'm moderating the session. He was actually going to talk about that, but I drew him back. He hasn't talked about that yet, so I don't think that it's fair to say he didn't condemn that incident. Okay, but with that said, kindly land for me so I can take his views.
Let me talk. If he say he never spoke about it, that is not true. Because that is incorrect, sorry. Because he said it was Ursula that rather even assaulted or attempted or whatever to Honorable Collins Dauda. He said that when you try to bring in that aspect or that extract. So I'm saying that he should have even first apologized to Ursula before even making any comment, because he had an assault case or issue being perpetrated by a male member of Parliament onto that woman, and that was wrong for a man to do that to a woman. And then moving forward to whatever happened in Parliament, about 3 or 4 major incidents or events or issues.
Yeah, but I'm interested in knowing what your role was. What was your role?
What was my role?
What role did you play in that?
Ask me, as he spoke, can you give me time to also speak a little bit, please?
Yes, but I have to ask you the question because we don't have all the time. Ms. Amwa.
I'm surprised because you gave him all the time. My role was to make sure that
No. Ms. Amwa, can I make something clear? I'm giving you the time, but I need to guide the conversation so we touch on the issues. I can't give you all the time to just talk broadly.
No,
you get what I mean? So that's why I'm asking you the question, what role did you play?
He had time to explain what happened, and that's what exactly I'm doing.
Please go ahead.
Exactly. Initially, I kept very sluggish. I was very quiet and calm. But when they attempted to assault Ursula, I think my adrenaline went up. So I moved there. I never said anything. I didn't touch anybody. But when I was coming back, you know, the NDC guys, most of them are my friends, even Mutala. One of them was communicating to me, and I didn't hear. So I was asking the person, I was pointing to my hand, asking, why? What are you saying? I think it was misinterpreted or construed that I was insulting them, which I can never do that. These are great men. And these guys, they are my friends and brothers and member of parliament. They are not any reflex of people at the bottom of the social stratification. So I'm sure it was misinterpreted. But at a point, it was getting too much. So I was desperate. I'm like, Mom, if you don't want us, I even spoke tree. I mean, mistakenly. If one person about to Abana, one can baby. The one parliamentarian came and pushed me with his 2 hands, and I also pushed him, and people came in like, oh, we should stop. I think that was the only thing. I never did anything bad, but my role was to make sure that the good people of Ghana will actually be given the needed services, the needed respect that they were requiring because they voted, they give us their mandate. So that was my role. My role was to contribute to anything that will ensure sanity, anything that will ensure peace and tranquility in the house, anything that will ensure that we're going to have very constructive exercise conducted and work together as political parties that have gotten the mandate.
Just the final one on this.
That was my mandate.
Just the final one on this. I saw that one of your colleagues, one of your senior colleagues was talking to you. What was the conversation about?
Yeah, that was what I'm talking about. A colleague from NDC pushed me and I pushed him back. And then he decided to rush me and they were restraining him. And I was wearing spectacles and it was dangerous. I didn't know what would have happened. So I put my spectacles somewhere. And the senior colleague thought I was going to fight.
So that's Katie Hammond you were talking about.
He came and talked to me that I should stop. So they were holding. I'm like, I'm not going to fight. You let me get my spectacles and go because I can't fight. Parliament. That was what happened. Oh. You saw what I did exactly.
Okay, so that's the conversation between you and Katie Hammond there.
I wasn't going to fight.
Okay, all right. That's cleared up. Okay, let me come back to the studio, Mr. Mutaula Mohammed. I think that I stopped you. Otherwise, you would have concluded on that.
I think that my friend is he's just being insincere. If you watch the video, at a point in time, I was having conversations with him. When the incident between Esla and some of our colleagues happened, I wasn't there. So the moment the incident happened, we all rushed to the police. And I had conversations with him. When I got there, he was angry, furious, and said, how can you do this to a lady? And I said, look, what happened?
You had conversations with Stephen Amwa?
With yes, if you check the video, and he's watching, he can confirm or deny that. And I said, oh, then if anything happens to her, that is wrong. I condemned whatever happened to the lady. What I have said on this program is that everybody is talking about what happened to Esla, which I condemned even in his presence. But nobody is talking about Esla's behavior towards Collins Dowda, which was captured on video. In any case, Esla sat on someone's husband's laps. The gentleman on your own medium, your interview, one of your journalists interviewed him, and he felt it was harassment. He felt that it was not fair and that the wife is not even happy about that. So for him to say that he thought I would have condemned that when he knew too well that even on that very day at that material moment, I said that was not right, but we need to look at it in both ways. So I think that he needs to get this very clearly. The idea of what happened, and that was the point I was building at. When we went there, and he said that NDC knew that it was their place, let me remind him, the previous parliament was dissolved. So he is getting it completely wrong. In fact, the 7th paragraph, the constitution, the standing orders are binding. But the conventions, we can change them at any point in time.
Yeah, but you had not discussed changing any convention. We know traditionally something that happens.
So the convention says, is the convention that says that majority sits on the right, minority sit on the left. And I'm saying that per the EC's own communication to Parliament, the EC wrote officially to Parliament, which was read by the clerk, that NDC has 137, MPP has 137, and an independent candidate.
So why do you say you're majority and they also say they're majority?
Also say they are majority?
Exactly, that's the question I'm asking.
That is why my friend Honorable Anu Dampre should have waited for consensus. If there was consensus and the NDC agrees, yes, you can sit on the right side of the speaker and we sit on the left. That is where consensus come into play. But you cannot arrogate yourself the powers to determine where your side of the caucus sits when you know that there is no any clear majority in parliament. And in fact, the definition of majority party in parliament is the party with more number of parliamentary seats. We don't have that.
Yes.
But there is its own communication.
But when you come to the definition of the minority, there's a lot more to say in that, in your own standing orders.
What has it said?
The party with the numerical strength, other than the one that forms the governing.
But the party that forms the government. The party that forms
Which party forms government now?
The party that forms the government chooses the speaker. We chose the speaker. So you see, when you want to go, that is why...
This will be cleared by Friday, and then we will make fine progress.
So that is the reason why consensus building, and that's the point I was making. Aside the constitution and the standing orders, when you want to build consensus, you don't build it insulatively. You build it with the other parties. You don't take certain decisions and tell us that as a result of consensus. If the MPP wanted so to speak at the right-hand side of the speaker, for whatever symbolical reasons, they could have done that through consensus.
Okay.
So we went into parliament without any specific place anybody would sit. So for someone to go and put name tags on seats was wrong.
Okay, all right. Let me get a quick reaction, and I want us to progress with this conversation. So, Mr. Amwa, a reaction from you.
Thank you. I hope you give me time to also speak. Please, honorable member, can you ask yourself that if you go to an ordinary function ceremony, and before you get to the place, seats are tagged with names, do you go and sit on them?
Should I answer?
No, let me come in, please. Ghanaians are listening and watching us.
I thought you wanted
even to answer. Let's admit what you are. Let's even consider what you are saying without admitting it. You went to the House. According to, they had dissolved the 7th parliamentary, whatever you're talking about. I'm not a legal practitioner, so I'm being careful, the choice of my words. and you went in, you say conventions are not to be obliged. They are not obligations. You go ahead, yes. But you went there.
No, he says they are not binding.
The management of the house had put names on the seats.
That's wrong. It wasn't the management.
And then you went and sat on them. But please, I am quite surprised. I'm surprised because Ghanaians watched exactly what happened in-house. Even when it was the turn of the minority leader, Honorable Tamale, my friend.
The majority leader.
Haruna Idrisu.
The majority leader.
Haruna Idrisu.
The majority leader.
Fine, you can give any definition. Can we move on, please? For Haruna Idrisu to speak, LPP parliamentarians were extremely mute.
That's not true.
We allowed him to speak.
That is not true.
The NDC never allowed us, and they put up so much destructive interference of ways.
That is not true.
They destroyed the parliamentary proceedings. And we, the members of parliament, I mean, from the majority side of MPP, we didn't keep quiet. We accepted that. Before commencement of voting, you saw my other brother and friend, Mutala, stood where NPP guys were threatening us, and the first two ballots, they destroyed hit ballot boxes, attacking people, assaulting them. We also, what happened? I think, Honorable Mutala, my humble plea is that Ghana, where we are today, against COVID-19, and the way sometimes some of the global leaders heap scorn on us as a continent or as a country, please let us eschew some of these behaviors and let's put our heads together and deliver this nation and make sure that we come out as members of parliament, parliament, to show some sort of exclusivity or exclusiveness, something to let Ghanaians know that this time, parliament, the guys there, Mutala, Stephen Amwa, and co., they are exceptional to the extent that Ghanaians will see that there is a future for the Ghanaian youth. But these antisocial behaviors being put up respectfully, whether by NDC or MPP, to me, Ghanaians are not happy with that. We need to show remorse. We need to apologize to Ghanaians, and we need to redefine our relationship and cordiality and make sure that we can move this nation forward. That is my humble plea. Even without blaming NDC or MPP.
Oh, no.
Mr. Samuel and Mr. Mohammed, I want to ask you a question.
No, but can I
You want to apologize to Ghanaians so that we move on? If only...
I, as a person, I want to.
Okay.
I don't know my bigger, but I think whatever happens, in my opinion, as Stephen Amwa, I will apologize. But I'm begging.
This cartoon scenario reality that my brother displayed there should be thrown somewhere. In one breath, he's admonishing us. In another breath, he described the NDC in Parliament as people who were behaving like SHS students. I can understand. The difference between the behavior of the NDC and yours, the MPP and the entire leadership behave like kids in the crutch. And you see, the MPP is behaving like a pampered thief. And you know the reason? Let's look at the issues that happened, which we should be condemned.
If we're going to be making progress,
please.
The descriptions that the two of you are giving,
he's been hypocritical.
We won't move on.
He's been hypocritical. In the first place, initially, when I made reference to a sincere and honest conversation I had with him on the floor with regards to what happened to Esla, he came on this program and he said something different when he knew in the hearts of his heart that I had a conversation
question.
But the point I'm making is
very crucial question.
All these issues, and I started by saying that all of us, when we sit back and look at the clips, you certainly would have to regret. And I agree with him on that line. But there's a point I want to make. What was grievous on that day was that attacking the sanctity of the house by bringing military men into the chamber. It is more grievous than it is more grievous. Our democracy was under attack. Tell me one single parliament in this world that you wouldn't have some of these behaviors. But what was grievous is that you had the minority leader in the person of Honorable Chairman Sabunsu and Honorable Nituwol. I stated it and I challenged them to deny that. I stated it. He has always been. I stated it.
But he has denied that because I think he spoke on. You're talking about Nituwol.
Yes.
He spoke on Joy FM.
What did he say? What he said on Joy. What he said on Joy. That yes, he had conversations with me, and he said that there are military and security men out there. He was tacitly admitting that he said that, and I said you had the minority leader, Honorable Chairman Sabunsu, who told me straight in my face that if it means bringing military into the chamber, we'll bring them. Honorable Nituwol walked to him picked the phone and made the call in my presence. When he made the call, I said, look.
He made the call to who?
He made the call and said, bring the men in. And he can't deny that. When he said that, ask him. I said, Honorable Nituwul, we are men. We are not men. When you bring men, when you bring military here, you can bring the entire garrison of military to confront them. So if you observed, when the military entered, I was the first person to approach them. Because the rage, the frustration that you had people who didn't have any legal authority whatsoever to engage in such illegality they engage in. As at the time they brought in the military, when even the military came in, I went back to him.
Okay, so
I said, Honorable Nituwul, you brought them in. Don't you feel embarrassed? He never denies.
Okay,
if he comes back to deny that they brought the military, I leave that to their conscience.
Okay,
that is not grievous.
I heard you clearly. I heard you. No. Please let me do this, Mr. Amwa. I'll come to you. Let me do this. I heard you clearly on that day because I was in the studio when you spoke to Benjamin in Parliament and you made the allegation.
Yeah. And I insisted there should be thorough investigation.
I heard you. We've heard Mr. Nituwul speak, but you're here today saying emphatically that you actually heard him on the phone, giving the order and asking them to bring.
Confronted him after he made those statements. And let me make this.
But you heard him making the call and asking them to bring the men in.
He hasn't denied the fact that he had conversations with me.
Okay,
what he
fair.
said, he said that there are security men out there. You see, that is why when I was granted the interview, I was the first person to call for thorough investigation. Because someone must certainly would have brought the security men into the chamber.
I appreciate
that is more grievous than whatever we are discussing.
I appreciate that. I just wanted clarity. Ms. Amwa, I know that you want to react, so please do it quickly because I have a question for the two of you to address.
Okay, I think, Honorable Mutala, I think by the standing, if you read the standing order 7, I think the definition of minority leader is so clear. It is defined to mean a member of parliament designated by the party having the largest numerical strength in parliament other than the party that has formed the government as the recognized leader of all the minority groups in the house. So if Honorable Mutala keeps on misleading Ghanaians, the Honorable Chairman Sabonsu is a minority leader. Respectfully, I beg him to adhere to the status of the land so that we will not mislead the generation that are behind us or that is coming. I am also saying that we knew what happened in-house. The presence of the military was not there to intimidate, and they never touched anybody.
They had no business
when
being
the
there.
NDC guys decided to hit ballot boxes and try to put up all those antisocial behaviors, it was getting out of hand. And the presence of the military really brought some calmness.
Which calmness?
In the house.
Wasn't the case.
And I don't see anything wrong with it. They went back peacefully. We went on and proceeded and had the business of the house continue. So I'm surprised that he's trying to do propaganda with all this. I am very, very much surprised.
Okay, so one thing is clear.
I'm coming. I'm ending with this.
Is that like having the military
which could be true. Which could be true. Why is he not saying the same words to Ghanaians on your set? He should have said the same words and apologized that yes, the woman had been brutalized or tortured or assaulted. That was very bad, and that he apologized on behalf of the minority, of course, which is the NDC. See what they are doing.
We have a moral duty and a responsibility to inform, educate, and entertain. I'm saying that it's not for nothing that we have separation of powers. Propounded by the likes of Professor Montesco.
We appreciate that. Parliament's independence.
They must be independent. So is that when someone says that he sees nothing wrong with the military getting into Parliament, then you are simply saying that the military getting into the Supreme Court, when there is proceedings in the Supreme Court, there is nothing wrong with that. Well, that is what he's telling us.
Yes, but that's his opinion. I appreciate that. Yes, but that's what he shares and he puts it in perspective.
It's not surprising.
Gentlemen,
they went to a law court in Kumasi and freed somebody.
The principles of pragmatism states that
pragmatism?
There's an issue, if there's any alternative in terms of tools to ensure and attain the needed common goal.
Which common goal?
Gentlemen, I appreciate it.
Joy FM interviewed the Marshal. The Marshal indicated clearly on Joy that they had the capacity to contain what happened, that he never gave approval. He never gave approval for the military to come into the chamber.
Almost 2 hours.
Murtala Mohammed,
Never gave approval for the security.
Shall we progress?
It was reckless. It was irresponsible. It was an attack.
Okay, gentlemen. Murtala Mohammed, Stephen Amwa, please let me do my job so we can progress. Otherwise, we're going to end the conversation without me asking my crucial question. So I hear you two gentlemen say, you apologize, we get it. Not the entire. I've heard a number of the MPs regret their actions collectively.
First place, I would have, before I pass any inferences on ordinary Ghanaians' conduct in this manner, I would have been very fair and honest to find out what were the remote causes that led to the immediate causes.
Someone, no. When you snatch the ballot paper, they don't ask you why you snatched the paper. You've committed a crime and you'll be dealt with.
Of course, but there's also no NDC guys perpetrated all these things. The remote causes emanated from their corner or arena. We all saw what happened. But if Ghanaians had apologized, we would have forgiven them, of course. If somebody shows remorse for what he's done, a conduct, whether good or bad, you will have to forgive the person. But if it has legal implication, it's left with the law to pardon the person or to proceed with whatever further action that would have been taken. But I think in this sense, let us also be fair and honest to accept the fact that it was the NDC's fraction or proportion of the House that initiated those antisocial behaviors, and they put up those behaviors for over 2 hours in-house. And that led to the immediate unfortunate incident that occurred.
I thank you, Mr. Amwa, for answering my question. I thank you, Mr. Amwa, for answering my question. Please answer my question.
I think it's important for us to understand that two political parties and their representatives in parliament engage in a conduct that has occasioned the anger of most Ghanaians. But I think that
all Ghanaians.
I say most Ghanaians.
All of us.
No, the reason why I say most Ghanaians is that you have one party that defended the Constitution of Ghana, and you have another party that decided to violate Article 104, Clause 4 of the 1992 Constitution. The 1992 Constitution, Article 104, Clause 4 says that in choosing a leader, a speaker, or amending bills or passing bills, it must be done in secret, through secret balloting. That's what the Constitution says.
Okay, so
Order 95, I'm answering. Order 95 of the Standing Orders of Parliament says that in electing a speaker, if the need arises, it must be done in secrecy. The MPP took a decision that they were not going to conduct that business through secret balloting. And it was not just a decision. They officially demanded that the voting should not be done in secrecy. The NDC said it won't happen. Every single thing NDC did on that day was defending the constitution of the
So again, my question.
And I've stated here. Now, I have also heard that Honorable Mutaka taking the ballot, he was an agent. The same People's Amendment Law says that in an attempt to prevent illegality in an electoral processes, you can take every legal means. He never prevented anybody from putting a ballot paper into the box. So in as much as we all will regret for what happened, I'm saying that the NDC was defending the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana.
Very interesting, the kind of interpretation that you two put on this matter that we thought was very simple.
I'm saying that the NDC was defending. You see, if you want to look at it holistically, let's be very honest. I condemned any action, and I told you that we all, when I sat back and I
So going forward, when we also do things, even though you've made the laws, and I'm asking you this question, because
the difference,
I've heard people say that. So would they come back and be advising us? Would they make laws that will be guiding us going forward?
The difference is that people have immunities on the floor. That is the difference.
You're special.
People have
you have privileges.
And people have immunities on the floor. The Privileges Committee of Parliament can take an action. But you see, something happened that I have realized that no media house is talking about.
Which one is that?
When the Chief Justice came in and swore in Honorable Bagbin, normally he would sit and he gives his acceptance speech. He got out. He walked out. Perhaps he wasn't happy that his preferred candidate didn't win. He walked out.
Is that your interpretation?
But why did he walk?
Is that a fair interpretation?
I say perhaps.
He had come into the chamber, but he had come into the chamber and he had been escorted out.
I say normally, I was in the Chief Parliament and I have witnessed the swearing in of speakers over the years since 1992. I would want to know why the Chief
Justice... Can I come in,
want
please?
to know.
But you didn't ask the question initially. You put an interpretation on that.
No, I said perhaps.
Hello?
I said perhaps.
Okay, let's
I'm saying that why is it that the Chief Justice...
Hello?
I was surprised because the reason why I'm raising this issue, the media was there. And I thought that perhaps there could be a reason why he didn't talk. We need to know.
So fair, you've raised it.
We need to know.
You've raised it. Mr. Amo, I'm ending with you. Please do it in a minute.
Honorable Mutala gets me astonished. Please.
Why?
Is it not the same person who said that the proceedings in the House are guided by out of arbitrariness? And that is very unfair. You cannot joke with such serious issues. It's a very serious statement you are making. That I think this is extremely very trivial. Very trivial. You don't take this and try to get Ghanaians into this
I want to know why.
Please, you deception that the man did that out of some malicious intentions. This is very unfair.
These are your words. I just want to know why. I just want to know why. After swearing in the speaker, he just walked out.
Going forward,
I want to know why he walked out.
Our moderator asked very important questions, and it borders on going forward. Going forward, Honorable Mutala, this time try and change more, and let's work together. The country is at a point that they need you and me. They need MPP,
if you change,
everyone.
If you of all people change, I believe everybody in Ghana will change.
We change the fortunes of the good people of this country. It is extremely important.
If you change,
but it's very important.
I'm telling you, if you change this country, even after you will change in jail. If you change. Everybody, including Atai.
Okay, so I don't appreciate. I see that there's some kind of friendship. I see that there's some kind of friendship between the two of you. But would you want to explain yourself in terms of Mr. Amo? I think you started off that bit. You say you want him to change. Put it in proper context. What does that mean, Mr. Amo?
Mutala has been my friend and a brother for so many years. Yes, please.
Yes. Oh, no. I'm just asking you to explain when you say you want him to change, so I can.
How do you want
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. What I mean is that Mutala has been like a brother, and in this country, everybody knows him. He takes every trivial issue.
Oh, okay.
I really would want to hear.
The connection is frozen. Okay, you're back.
Interference of waves in the system.
Please
and
go back.
I'm saying that these are dysfunctional to the performance.
Go back. We didn't hear the first
one.
And
I'm asking him to eschew all these forms of behaviors.
Which behaviors?
So that we can work together as two political parties in the House and change the fortunes of this country.
Okay.
It's just a humble plea. I'm begging him. Okay. He should be more serious with the people. He should be more honest and sincere with his comments and make sure that we all change.
The view public certainly would know what he needs to change. So it's enough. On a more serious note, it doesn't matter the outcome of the court case, the petition, even though we are very confident of emerging victorious. What matters is that we need to work together. And there is no denying the fact.
I don't get that sense, when I interact with both sides.
Let's assume that things are the way it is. I'm making this comment on the assumption that currently we have a president who was sworn in, rather fraudulently, but granted that he was sworn in.
So why can't you stick to the fact that we have a president? You're contesting. That's a different matter. But we have a president
who was fraudulently sworn in. We will never accord him with that recognition until we finish.
Wait.
Until we finish.
Can I clear something up? You're saying fraudulently sworn in or declared? Because now I'm confused.
Fraudulently declared as the president-elect of Ghana. I'm saying that.
Mohammed, can we agree on one thing?
Can you withdraw that statement?
Ms. Samoa, please let me do my job here. Can we agree?
This antisocial behavior.
I think we don't even have to agree. We do have a president. You disagree with him being declared as president. You're contesting that. Yes. So let's stick to the fact that when you say president, let's move on.
That is the point I was making. I'm saying that I'm making this statement with that assumption that yes, he is the.
No, he is.
We don't agree that he is the right.
The court to determine that? Why are we going ahead of that determination?
He was selected by Jin Mensa. The people of this country never, even his own members of parliament voted against his.
But you believe
even his own members of parliament voted against.
You believe in the courts. That's why you went there.
Oh yes.
So let's take to the facts. The fact is he's president.
But nothing insulates me from making the comments I have made, and I'll continue to make those comments forcefully.
You won't.
But let me
would it be totally fair to what you're pursuing? I'm saying that would it be fair to what you're pursuing?
The what?
Because you're in the courts. The court hasn't done the job.
Mr. Nanado didn't honor the swearing in of President Mahama, Mr. Nanado.
Let's progress.
And what was the excuse he gave?
Progress.
So I'm saying that no matter what happens, even at the end of the court, the petition at the Supreme Court, and inshallah, John Dramani Mahama would have a rerun and win the elections. Whatever the case is, we need to work together. Look, one critical question that you people are not asking is even the composition of committees. I have worked in the CIF.
What are you asking?
I'm saying you should.
You are not. You say you are a master of your own rules.
If I'm sitting somewhere,
the things we say, you say you are privileged.
The media has a responsibility to mirror what happens. If you don't come and ask me, can I be run after Joe if I want to give you this information? No, you invited us. But what I'm simply saying is that the committees. I have worked in the CIF. I have served in the CIF Parliament, and I'll tell you one interesting thing. About 80% of the work we did at the committee level was on consensus. And I remember throughout the Finance Committee, we voted about 2 or 3 times. What it tells you, that at that level, there is so much consensus building, and that is what we expect to happen. As we stand today, President Mr. Nanado has appointed his would-be ministers who will be vetted. The good thing about these elections.
He hasn't made the appointment, though.
He hasn't.
Or you've seen something?
I have heard some.
I also heard rumors, but yes. I haven't seen any statement that says...
It's going to be still garbage in, garbage out. Nothing will come out of that. But I'm just saying that those people are going to be vetted. The positive thing about our democracy and going forward is that fraudulent deals such as Ajapa, PDS, and others won't find a way in the House of Parliament. And for me, the Ghanaian, the ordinary Ghanaian, will be the one who will benefit. Because when fraudulent deals such as a Japa, in fact, which has virtually taken the entire heritage of this country away, when you have a minister of state and a head of institution who arrogated to herself the powers to deny radio stations from operating, those things won't happen again.
Okay,
and I
hear you. I just would appreciate
because of the unfortunate, unacceptable for my colleague member to use the adverb fraudulently sworn in. I think it is a huge amount of respect for the constitution of the land.
How?
For even the entire house and for the courts of competent jurisdiction. And I think he doesn't have to repeat this. Probably he made a mistake. I don't expect him to go around doing this. Ghanaians are watching us. 2, he should understand the fact that there's a difference between somebody who has been actually declared by courts of competent jurisdiction as committed corrupt behavior or corruption than just perception. Between the two fraternities, I can't recollect any time along our political history or stream that any MPP government official has been actually sentenced as a result of corruption. But they all the time, all their 2 terms or jurisdictions, their tenants, they had it. So even he talking about perception and framing up stories and propaganda, I don't think it's in good taste. It's one of those destructive interference of ways that he's going around telling Ghanaians. But what I'm saying is that he has to eschew all these forms of behaviors so that we can have the needed cohesion in-house and move this country forward. This is the plea that he's not, until Mutala repents from these antisocial and aberrant and scanty behaviors. I think the parliament in-house will not know any peace. And I'm just begging him, I'm not forcing him. And I hope his other colleagues will follow suit and take my advice. Because how can you describe a swearing president of your own land republic, if you respect Ghanaians and the country, as fraudulently done? How could you? And you sat in-house to be part of the process. So you were part of the process that was being done fraudulently. It's very interesting.
Okay,
and I think
gentlemen.
that is not in good taste. And I hope he will do proper official, give proper apology or something. And I will draw that statement for Ghanaians to respect us, because these are serious statements.
All right.
These are very serious statements. It means he has not even regretted for what happened in Parliament a few days ago.
Stephen Amwa, Member of Parliament for Nshire. So I thank you for your time. He's a former CEO of Maslok. Murtala Mohammed is Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, used to be Member of Parliament for Ninten.
When NDC was
and a former Deputy Information Minister. Here's what is fact, though. The President was sworn in by the Speaker of Parliament.
Declared he never won that.
That's the allegation, and
but
that's why
what allegation?
Thank you so much, sir, for being here. We will make progress the next time we meet, because the Speaker would have ruled on majority minority, and then we'll have some peace. By the way, they don't carry the chairs with them. The chairs that you see behind me still remain in Parliament. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Now, let's talk about another very important issue, which is the fires that we've recorded in Kumasi. 3 days for
Islam homeless, and exactly 2 days the people here have started rebuilding their homes. And let's do a little description of the people living here at Dagomba line here in Kumasi. Most of the people living in Dagomba line are settlers from the northern part of the country, and they are mostly scrap dealers who have temporary settlements in here, and the settlement in which they use for their business, these are the same areas or places they sleep. So not long ago, after the fire or inferno swept through this area, most of them here have started rebuilding their shelter, and it has become an annual ritual when we have fires coming through this area. 2 years ago, there was an inferno here. That one gutted the right part of the slum, far right, and most of the homes there were destroyed. Yet last year, before in March, before the lockdown, several homes were also destroyed by an inferno. This year it has happened once again, and the NADMO and the National Fire Service are attributing the inferno to faulty electrical cables and connections to this area. So I have some of the people here to ask them why they've started building, even though authorities annually, after these incidents do happen, come to them, tell them to wait for them to give them the green light before they go ahead with their structure. Sometimes they are unable to wait for the National Fire Service to conduct complete investigation into the inferno, and also for authorities to do proper demarcation of the area before they started rebuilding. And this has happened again this year. Let me speak to some of the people and ask them how they've been able to reorganize after just 2 days. This inferno swept through this area, causing them to lose most of their property. I have with me one gentleman, and he has agreed to speak to us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Ejanisi and Enche, I don't know what to reorganize it quickly. I'm a Sasha Simusi.
The entire me recall the guys and say, a question Bibrina ni baby on beda. To Bibrina muni baby on bedano. I say, Kakra crana edit to sono. And one ever Saturday, ever Sako Faba, near Saturday, near saying quickly, near baby every day. Yabeda. Tina, we say no yan quickly, Sano. And when you 247, a man for that. Our hat 247. Bibrina Mubo Kios in Sama diachin until beyond that. Until Fisa and Rana and Rechikrana, a Genesiano. A man for never been done, Tanya, the Obeko Bebia. Giselle.
It's a man who no mano, I have no die.
Bibrina or Hanma, Unse, Masalachina or Hanum, Antimanshi, and a Bibrina so down for Biwa baby. Our chain until Bibrina or Danchen or Honum. And a Bibrina down for phobia, baby or high and she, until Bibrina or come. Until man in the Omonia baby, I go Kaye Memande, Bibrina Timida, Ama Diachi, until sanity.
So So, according to him, due to the difficulty in getting accommodation, it has become relevant that they quickly reorganize and take some money from their own savings to reconstruct these shelters or wooden shacks that they lived in. He tells me their wives and children had to pass the night in a mosque close to this area. Some others who have friends living around had to go to their...
Actually, I'm a businessman here. I'm selling drugs. I'm a drugs counter. So I was in Danifama when this incident occurs. So I came and I met one of my friends here who was able to gather something from me. But I lost some of my drugs. But to the God's sake, we were able to get something and leave some. That's how it occurred.
So what are the things that you could gather from the fire?
Actually, we have some drugs like that herbicide medicine that we gather and leave some. Even my clothes and other things was burnt. But for God's sake, we able to take care of some herbal medicine and leave the chemist.
So have you been given permission to start reconstructing your shacks?
Yes, they give us permission, but in some rules and regulations. They told us that for the benefit of doubt, maybe for the next time, they give us some parts. Maybe any time that maybe this is then okay again, the fire service can able to come to our aid. That's why they put this road so that everybody can see this road and know that if I'm going to reconstruct or rebuild my structure, I will be able to leave the rebuild. But we should make sure that we should leave. They came and do all the parts 2 feet, so that if anybody make mistake and build ahead of it, they should dismantle all this place. That's why they give us and left, and everybody is following that procedure. Yes.
So how are you able to reorganize quickly, get money, come to this place and start rebuilding?
Sir, here is our business place, and everybody is doing to earn your living. And as far as we are all here, all of us are here for business. We are not here to joke, or we are not here to play. So as far as this is done, okay, and we leave it to God's hands, because we don't know what happened to it, and it's okay. So as far as the little that we were saving, that little money that we took to rebuild our structure and start again.
All right, thank you very much. So this is what's happening here at Dagomba line. Lots of the people who lost their property through the inferno have commenced rebuilding their homes, and they hope that by close of day, most of them will be able to come back to this area and pass the night. Some of the buildings are already at the roofing stage.
Good morning, I'm Kadi and I welcome you to the showbiz segment right here on the AM show. Now, rapper Patrick Matic has detailed what caused change in his style of music from urban to authentic Ghanaian music. Says he felt he had to transition to promote the culture. He shared to Joy Prime's Ibrahim Bembakon that he had an awakening and feels this new path encourages the younger generation to do more music that projects the Ghanaian culture. He also shared what to expect from him this year.
I had an awakening. I just had a realization that I needed to do this, and I wouldn't lie or pretend about it. I didn't know, but now I know. And there's so much that a lot of us must learn about what we have and who we are. Once we do, we give the new generation a sense of belonging, a sense of who they are. And that's the only way they can defend the country that they have. I think that when we start, we always say that's youth exuberance, but I think that's not it. I think we haven't been oriented properly. I wasn't oriented properly, but now I've reoriented myself. So maybe people will have to put in effort to also grasp more, learn more, do more about where they're from, about our music, our sound, what makes us Ghanaians. And that's it. That's all we need to do as a people. That's what happened to me. I started to find myself. I started enjoying. I mean, I never thought there would be a time where I would wear an Ahinima sandal and dress like this, but I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it, and I love the fact that it has become commercial. I love the fact that now the brass metal, people wear it as an accessory. People speak our language, people give Ghanaian name, and they're super proud of it, and that's what we must represent as a people.
That's a lot of change. Yeah. That's a lot of change. But 2021, what is Phlegmatic up to? What is in stock for you and the fans out there?
This and more. We just released an EP. There's another EP coming at the end of January. There's another EP that will come in February. There will be another EP. So there's so many songs, and we're going to be putting them out as EPs and singles. A lot of videos. This year there'll be a lot of corporate stuff from me. People will start seeing the other branches of business that I do or I have. I think it's time to really come out and come out hard. I think it's also time to empower young people.
Now, away from that, musician and former Musica President Obor has opined that creators should be allowed to participate in Parliament when need be. Says Parliament is not a reserve for teachers, lawyers and the likes, but open to all. He said more in this interview with my colleague Ibrahim Bimbako.
We will definitely get there, but as one fact that we need to establish, that Parliament is not a reserve for lawyers, for doctors, for teachers, or any particular profession. It's open to every Ghanaian. And if teachers, hairdressers, doctors, lawyers have a table at Parliament, why don't we have a strong voice for the creative arts practitioners? Why don't we have a musician? Why don't we have an actor? So I think we taking that bold decision to go into national politics, venture into Parliament, go there to push the agendas, also bring the perspective of the creative artist, the perspective of the musician, goes a long way to adding to the respect for the profession and also the self-esteem that people in the profession have.